Flashlight like it. Smash it. Toss it up. Do what you gotta do. Everybody.
This is the part where that music's
Oh, we don't have to wait for that.
Uh-oh, we got to move the camera. Can I move the camera? Am I allowed to? Whoa, whoa, whoa. There we go. Okay. Had to move the camera a little bit there, guys. So how's everybody going, man? It's a Monday. Sometimes the camera's like over here because it's Monday, and sometimes I'm over here in the corner. Sometimes I'm all up and down. I don't even know what's going on. Oh, my God, everybody, it's Monday. What are you doing? Yes. Hello, everybody. It's Monday. What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you guys wearing pants? Are you guys wearing pants because it's Monday? You better get to work. You better get to work right now because it's Monday, everybody. It's Monday. Get on it. Get to work. Grab that shovel. Start digging. Yeah, let's do it. It is Monday, May 2nd, everybody. Do you realize that it's May the 2nd already? In the year 2022. It's flying by. It is flying by. The year is flying by. I'm astounded that it's May already, you know? I kept thinking, hey, my birthday's coming. And then it came and then it went. And now it's May, and now I got to worry about Mother's Day and Vicky's birthday. Like, what the? Come on now. I feel like every month has a thing. I feel like every month has a thing you got to worry about, and apparently that's what I got to worry about now. And also, like buying another house and trying to move and all of these things. That's adding this stressor, slight stressor around here. You know what I mean? So, we got some stressors. That's all right. So far, we're waiting on. Once again, we're waiting on the appraisal. It seems that the appraisal system here, and probably everywhere, I really doubt. I really doubt that it's different out there in the rest of the world. But we're waiting on the appraisal deal, and it seems like they move slower than molasses in winter. So we're waiting on that, and then we'll, depending on what the appraisal is, we may have to renegotiate and hopefully come to an agreement. Because I don't want to deal with any more of these interest rates going up, dude. These interest rates going up are rough. The interest rates going up are rough, bros. I know people are complaining about inflation. And I agree. I 100% agree that when the prices go up, you go, ooh. But it's a little bit rough when those interest rates go up, you know? And you go, oh my God, ow. And then it happens to be the first of the month, and you have to update your Patreon numbers, and you realize it goes from 138 to 7 to, oh, I gotta have two hands for this. 6. Nope. 5? No. 4? No. 3? No. 2? No. 1? No. No. We got to go down into the 2s now. We've got 129 patrons. Thank you very much, everybody, for being a patron for so long and just sticking with me while we do live streams in the interim of getting back to making edited content. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh my God, it's been so long since you've made an edited video. And I agree. It has been a long time since I've made an edited video on this channel. and we're on the precipice of the new house. And I'll be honest with you, between work, just doing my basic live streams, taking care of my kid, buying a house, moving everything. I've literally carried so many things. I have a trailer full of stuff that I got to drive, 100 miles that way and then drive back with the trailer after offloading it this afternoon, which is why the show's earlier today, which works for the Europeans. I know that. I know the Europeans are stoked to be earlier because then now it's not like midnight where you're at. So that's cool. But we're going to be on building some new stuff. We got to update our members. Our YouTube members went down also. It generally, this happens around the first of the month. Like a lot of people have credit cards expire or they're just like end of the month. And maybe they're end of the month figuring out maybe they're going through their finances and saying like, hey, I don't want to spend money on this. And you're like, okay, that's all good, baby. So today's topic is one of those things. And people are wondering why I post the join button in the chat, because people with iPhones don't have a join button. So there you go. So iPhone people, I have to do extra work. I have to do extra work for the iPhone people. The iPhone people need extra work because they can't integrate into anything. You can't be integrated, So yeah. Anyhow, today's topic has to do with all of that stuff. It's like, why would today's topic be rethinking the aquascape hobby? Why would that be today's topic? Why would I want to be talking about that? Because I personally want to rethink my aquascaping hobby. I've done a lot of aquascaping. I've done a lot of aquascape stuff. I've done a lot of projects. I've done a lot of things around the aquarium hobby here for the last, a bit of time, I guess. We'll put it that way. A bit of time. We've chomped off a bit of time in the aquarium hobby and aquascaping and all of those things. Now, I will say, when I started out sort of documenting what I was doing 10 or 12 or however many years ago that was, 12 years ago, 14 years, I don't even know when that was. It was a long time. The people that were born can speak English and play sports and other languages by now, So it's been a long time, and I realized that, there's a lot of things that I want to bring to the table as far as the hobby goes, and how am I going to interface with those with those things and making videos about them? How am I going to do that, and what do I want my overall hobby to look like? What are my end goals? What's my plan long term? How am I going to get closer to doing those plans long term? As you guys know, one of the things I want to do desperately is build a large greenhouse. So one of these days I'm going to do that. But the problem is that I don't want to do that as a retail project. Does that make sense? I don't want to be a retailer. It's not something that I want that I want to do. I don't want to be a guy who's beholden to this position of stuck in the retail with you. You know what I mean? You know that. You remember that song? It's like, stuck in the retail with you. Right? You remember that song? I think it was like Bob Dobbs. I think Bob Dobbs did that song. Right? And he's like, stuck in a retail store, and they do a retail thing. That's not my goal. And I think people that have been following this channel for a long time realize that like I interface on things, especially when it comes to the retail side, as minimally as possible. I don't want to have anything to do with that as my career. I don't want to be selling things necessarily. What I want to do is do projects. That's what I want to do. But the unfortunate side of it is there is a overwhelming financial motivation in this world that we live in. It's the year 2022. Almost everything has been commodified. Codified? Wait, is that right? Basically, just to oversimplify, say capitalism is run rampant because that's just sort of the system that seems to work the best for humans in regards to bringing efficiency to the barter system, right? That we all live under, is that we have this money, we trade the money, we make the money, we trade the money, we go back and forth, right? So Crypt Keeper says, why can't it be easy and just have it available on all channels? Doesn't make sense. Oh yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that button's broken, but I can straight up I can post it into the chat. That's what I can do. I have no influence over Google or YouTube or any of. I have no influence. I've literally sent them emails over the years, and I get an automated email kickback. So it is what it is. I think you need like 10 million subs before they really care what you say or ask for or any of that stuff. But regardless, moving on. I don't want to get too deep into the capitalism conversation here today, but that's the system we live under. So you have to make money or you're going to be left out in the cold. Not only figuratively, but literally, right? So, I have to sit back and think about what I want to do. I want to make content. I want to make content and show people how to become more proficient at automating the parts of the hobby that we all see as a negative, right? The unfortunate thing is that if I make those videos, then I end up being customer service essentially for a lot of these companies that make these products, right? Because now the comment section is full. I'm getting emails about things. People look negatively on me if I don't answer their questions about a thing, right? Which is one of the reasons why I don't make videos about electrical, right? I know a while ago somebody asked me, they go like, why don't you make videos about doing wiring and stuff like that? And I go like, because here's the issue. If I show people how to do that, suddenly they start doing it. Maybe somebody gets hurt. Maybe they don't. I don't know. I don't even know what the liability is there. But regardless of that, suddenly I'm going to have to start essentially having what could easily be described as like detrimental conversations with people when they say they don't like Square D, or they don't like GE, or they don't like Leviton, or they don't like whatever. I mean, I guess the list just kind of goes on and on with products from companies that may or may not have worked out for them. And so a big part of what I'm trying to do is script and build videos that don't focus necessarily on creating questions for people. It's like hopefully answering all the questions ahead of time. And if it was a question type conversation I was going to be having with somebody, it would be, hey, what's your opinion on, I don't know, whatever thing, right? Where it's like, I don't need you to give me the answer. I want you to talk to me about what it is that I can't find out on my own, which is like something that's happening inside my brain, right? Like you wouldn't be able to access that. Whereas people would, I get comments every single day as it is right now of people going like, yeah, but what about a dirted aquarium? Oh yeah, but what about this anoxic filtration thing I saw? What about, what about this chemical versus that chemical brand? It's like Seachem's the best, right? And I'm like, I don't, if we're talking about an Epsom salt or something, it's a chemical, and somebody might make a more quality one or not, or sell one cheaper or more expensive or whatever. But I spend a lot of time trying to explain stuff to people later on, and I don't want to be in that spot, if that makes sense. That is like the biggest, not waste of time, but you have to spend so much time on an individual basis answering specifics, and I sort of go, yeah, but that's what the live stream's for. And then they go, but that's on Fridays and Mondays. And I go, yeah. And they go, well, I don't want to wait till then. Like, and we ultimately end up in this situation where it's like, you can't please anybody because there's a schedule that you're following, and they don't like that schedule. They don't want to wait for that schedule. They want the answer, but they also don't want to, like, start looking up things so that they could come up with their answer, right? So the big focus of what I'm trying to work on is sort of creating content around the aquascaping that doesn't create a customer service type situation, if that hopefully explains it. And my goal is to make stuff in that vein, that I don't have to answer 500 different questions on in an individual way. Oh my God, guys, we have to take a second here and acknowledge Crypt Keeper Aquatics becoming a new member. Thank you very much. That puts us we're back up to 78. We're not back to 79 yet, but we'll get there one of these days. So in that thought process, I sort of am going, all right, how do I accomplish that task from an internal directive on a thing that I'm working on, and it go that this idea I have doesn't need to come externally, it needs to come internally and then evolve from there, right? And I've kind of been racking my brain about it for a little while. I've been writing a lot and working on trying to figure out exactly what it is that could be. I don't know how to explain that part, but like, what it is that I could do that I could make my interfacing with that, come out in a natural way versus a forced way of like, writing down an ethos or something and then trying to stick to it on a regular basis, right? Like making a note somewhere that's like, okay. And before I go into this, I need to make sure that I blah, 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 blah before I even bother to do anything, right? Like I feel that feels really externalized to me because it basically is an external influence, right? Like I need to put up signage or make notes to myself or get notifications that says like, hey, don't interface with this in this way, do this other thing. And so the reason that I want to do that is because a lot of people out here know that I've been sober for a long time. I'm coming up on a milestone in my sobriety here. And so I want to try to implore some of the techniques that I got from getting sober and then just becoming naturally my baseline is just sobriety, right? Like it's just what I do. It's not something that I'm actively having to focus on at all times. And so through that, I've kind of figured out that I want to sort of embrace a lot of the ideology that I've found from some of the international aquascapers I know that will focus on 1, 2, 3 tanks at a time, right? As opposed to getting knee deep into having 90 different projects all over the place at all times. So when it comes to like resetting up the fish room at the new house, I'm going to be building a lot of stuff there. I'm going to be automating a lot of water change stuff, water filter, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff, drains, all that kind of stuff. Now, I want to build all that stuff out in order to, automate certain parts that I don't have to deal with so that I can literally focus on individual singular projects. Instead of building really cheap stands, I'm going to do what I can to build sort of high-end stands, show people how to build them, as opposed to just putting together some 2x4s and then you have a tank sitting on something that's elevated off the ground, if that makes sense. Are we going to take the time to try and source some decent wood for the doors and stuff like that? Probably. So that's going to be, I think, the way that I'm going to be able to interface with this hobby in a different way than I was before. No longer maintaining all these projects. One of the big steps that's going to be different this time around is intentionally not moving all of my fish and plants and stuff like that. Now, I know that some people would say, well, it shouldn't really mess with anything. But I'll tell you this much. I've done it before where I moved and I had a mishmash of tanks. I had things in buckets and I had this and I had that and the da-da-da-da and all this stuff. I had all this crazy stuff going on. And you're trying to improperly take care of things, rush to finish things. It's one thing to work hard and finish within a certain time frame, but when you're rushing to finish just to rush because you're being because you're under the gun to like get some fish back into a tank, to get some plants back into a tank, get some shrimp back into a tank, all that kind of stuff, it's just not copacetic for finishing a project in a viable way. I think that you're being influenced too much to go too quickly through things. So, one thing I noticed when I was the kind of multiple times I've been to Europe now, one of the things that I noticed is even in store settings, people weren't trying to aquascape 100 different tanks. They weren't trying to do all of that. But I do know a lot of people in the U.S. that have all these extra tanks, all these extra projects, and they can't focus on anything. They can't focus on any one specific project that they're working on, and really bring it up above. And I think because, as I mentioned earlier, I think a lot of that has to do with the financial side of things. I've definitely noticed that, especially from being on YouTube, it's like, what's the new thing? What's the new thing? Can you do the new thing? Can you do the new thing? And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like, I've whittled down like the people that follow this channel to a point that, and whether that was on purpose or not, I know that we made jokes about getting down to, basically getting down to like one subscriber and then giving the channel away. And honestly, if that had happened, I probably would have followed through on that. I probably would have followed through on that if we got down to one paying person. But I think realistically, like, because I've whittled this channel down, that it's now kind of at the point where I personally feel like I'm not beholden to exactly what I have to do as far as like what the audience thinks I should be doing. It literally somebody I had mentioned on the live stream the other day something about the hot tip of the week will be telling people about bus tubs, restaurant bus tubs for moving your aquariums. And I realized the only comment I got on that video, it was like, I don't know, hour and a half long live stream or whatever. The only comment I got was somebody was like, hell yeah, I want to see that video about the bus tubs. Like, oh my God, I can't wait for that video to come out about bus tubs, right? And I'm going like, yeah, I mean, we have like a pretty engaged small following here. And I think the real thing is that we'll likely see a big influx of a bigger audience, right? And I think that this is really easy to say now, but I think what's realistically going to end up happening is that if we do start to put edited content out again and we start seeing an influx of new people, I think realistically I'm probably just going to end up ignoring them. And I hate to say that because, you know, like everybody wants this level of success. And in my mind, I'm sort of like, but I just want to hang out with the people that I like to hang out with and not get in arguments, but have like interesting conversations about things that are going on. I mean, I love getting in heated arguments with, for lack of a better way to put it, like some of the dipshits out there of the world. Like, I think it's kind of fun to get in arguments with them. And like, clearly the aquarium people on YouTube like don't want to have a back and forth conversation about things that they agree with or disagree with. They certainly don't want to talk about any of the implications of the ideology that they're putting out there into the world. They don't want, there's not a whole lot of like deep critical thinking going on from people that can do anything about it necessarily. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how how we're going to interface when I start putting out edited content again. Because I think realistically, it's going to be fairly easy to ignore a lot of people. I mean, it just, I just think like, I just think that like that's going to be I think that's going to be like the reality of what it's going to look like as like with things moving forward, you know. And I think that's odd, but like I think a good example would be like having gone to Europe on multiple occasions and seeing quality representations from aquascapers there, and see that like they work on showpieces. They don't necessarily spend a lot of time collecting 100 different tanks. Even the like the puffer breeder who was the first guy to breed the Shadadeni puffers. Like, I think he had one rack of tanks, but it was like maybe 12 tanks and then one big tank for a big old fish that he had. And that was pretty much it. And you go like, I'm used to going to Americans' house that have tanks everywhere, right? And I was thinking about having having spent the day talking with that guy, I was actually thinking about that specific interaction. And, one of the things that I've kind of figured out is that, like, the guy was obsessed with puffers. That puffer fish is all that he wanted to do. Freshwater puffer fish, by the way, not even saltwater ones. But he just wanted to do freshwater puffer fish. And so I think a lot of what I'm going to focus on, I'm probably not going to focus on doing a greenhouse. I'm probably not going to focus on any of that stuff. I'm probably going to focus on some what I would consider to be like really high quality individualized projects, and see where I go from there. The design sketches that I have really rough design sketches because I don't even have measurements right now. Because I don't have access to the new house, so I don't even know what exactly wall to wall and that kind of stuff is. But from the rough sketches that I got, I think it's going to work, but ultimately, like, time will tell. So I'm in a weird position right now of being like really tired, having a lot of things going on, and then also like having the introspective moments of just trying to figure out what to do moving forward as far as like a realistic way to interface. Rock Hard Tanks says, I'm using Amazon, PetSmart, Petco, and local places to hold all my unused yet aquarium supplies of all kinds. True. Although you are going to have to interface with the capitalist side of things, is that you're literally going to have to exchange money for those products that they're holding on for you. Which, that's definitely a thing that can continue, right? If you're able to make money. April showers bring May earnings from get out of here. We had to delete that email. Oh, somebody started following me on Facebook. Oh, somebody holding an assault rifle in there. What is that? Was that an SMG? Somebody holding an SMG in their profile picture. But they're following me now. Ooh, boy howdy. Facebook, what a useful place. What a useful place to be. Oh wait, they sent me a friend request. Who is this? Let's look through it. Oh, I think I accidentally oh no, I haven't confirmed. Who is this? Who is this person? Let's see. Here's here's what's funny. I know somebody was like, how do you go through people's Facebook profiles to see if you're going to like accept their friend request or something? And I was like, what? I go, "Oh, I just kind of scroll through and just see if they've been insane in the last year, right? Like, have you been completely bonkers in the last year at any point in time?" No, this person seems normal. We'll see. We'll see what they say and what they do over time. Anyhow, the reason that I wanted to have Facebook open was so that I could show a meme, but that's the wrong computer. So we got to realize that we made a mistake. We had Facebook open on the wrong computer. We got to open up this computer over here. Where's my page? I forgot to download this earlier. My apologies. My apologies, guys. I was gonna download this to the computer so I could show it to you, and I thought it was interesting. Save image as. We'll save that. Then we'll show it up here. Add source. We want media file. God, you don't even know. Like, they change these buttons on me every 10 minutes in this software. I swear. Okay, so this is something that had popped up and I posted about this, and of course, like nobody's gotten really upset at me about it, because I think most I think most like sane thinking people would realize like the hypocrisy with a lot of the things that are going on in the world. But regardless of that, what I wanted to bring up about this, where's my arrow? There's my arrow. There we go. Oh my God. The arrow has fallen behind the picture. You see that, guys? We got to move the arrow up to the top. There we go. There we go. Arrow up to the top. Now, the reason that I wanted to bring this up, this little meme here, is that I want to be able to share the hobby with people without having to do it in this manner, right? This manner right here of like, knock, 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 I'm on your door, right? Talking about things that you don't want me to talk about, right? Like I want to be able to share this hobby without doing that. This thing here, doing this whole knocking on the door, being weird, right? And I was trying to figure out how to avoid that, right? I wanted to try to avoid accidentally sort of trying to tell people this is the right way and the only way, right? Because I think it comes across very, very easily that here's how I do it, so this is the right way, right? This is the way. This is the way to do it because this is the way I do it. Even though there's hundreds of different ways to do everything, pretty much. So I wanted to avoid having that mentality of essentially prescribing that this is the only way to do things. There's a lot of valuable information, a lot of valid information out there about different things that you would want to try to do or not try to do. You could go whatever direction you really feel like going, and trying to figure out how to make content that makes it obvious that there are multiple ways to do things. I think what that's essentially going to boil down to is also trying to find positive collaborations. And I think the unfortunate thing is that without like specific benefit, I don't think there's very many people that actually want to collaborate out there. It's extremely difficult to find anybody that actually wants to collaborate, first and foremost. Second of all, I think that it's sort of human nature to immediately jump to the, well, what am I going to get out of it type situation for a lot of people. And then to come back to what I was talking about earlier, I don't want to necessarily be on the retail end of things. But I think, unfortunately, like I said earlier also, that's the world that we're stuck in. That, like, if you don't have monetary viability, there really isn't much that you can do about that. I had hoped that at some point in time we would hit thousands of people that wanted to help back the channel here. But, I've become a realist in the fact that, like, there just aren't, so... I have to figure out how to work on those things, and be able to put that out there in a way that will work. Manes, tails, furs, and fins. I will collab with anyone who masks. Well, one of the big issues is that on the world stage, everybody's in a different time zone. Everybody's busy with things. It's extraordinarily difficult to just schedule doing anything. So then you go, okay, well, who's local? Who's local or who can work remotely or whatever. Like, obviously, Alyssa is a big contributor to the channel here, drives all the way down. And we do live streams together and stuff like that. Which is great. Like, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like, I'm grateful for our friendship. Like, we're good friends, and we shall continue to be friends, and we can hopefully continue to work on projects as we move on. And we're obviously going to make videos about that and everything. But then we run into the, well, who's going to edit this stuff? Who's going to film this stuff? Who's going to post this stuff? We got to do different voiceovers. We got to send the voiceovers to somebody to edit it and blah, 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 blah. We end up getting into these, like, really long projects. And you go, like, well, who is paying for / funding / doing all of this? I just don't know. So, with the mindset of going into making the videos moving forward, that's kind of where I'm at. S says, why don't you make those videos with a point of view? Those seems to be the new trend. I see what S is talking about. If I was going to need that, I would need the, or if I was going to do that, I need the new, there's a new, what's this lens? Canon. This lens right here. Canon came out with a fisheye lens. Here it is. Let me see if I can't find a link for it. Is it even available? It's in stock. Oh my god. Okay. Let me see if I can find one on like Amazon or something, so I have a shareable link. Amazon right there. So Canon came out with this lens right here. It only works on the R5, so I would need to get a, if anybody's wondering, hey guys, my Amazon links are affiliate links, so if you click through them and buy a bunch of stuff, I'll get a commission. So I've, to the Federal Trade Commission, I said the thing. Okay? So chill out. R5. So it works on this camera right here. So the thing is that like this had crossed my mind is to use this camera and this lens and shoot first-person VR stuff, right? So, well, Crypt Keeper, just wait until you click on this camera. The camera is $4,000. That's not even realistically the camera that I really want. What's the camera that I want to get at some point? Is the R5C, but it hasn't even come out yet. I was thinking about trying to put it on credit, but I might not. I might not even bother to do that. Let's see here. Like Canon has the C70, which is a great camera, which shoots video and everything, but it's $6,000. You know, and you start to get into these prices where it's just like, I don't even want to bother. You know what I mean? You start to go like, well, how am I going to make $8,000 back or whatever? You know, it's like you start to get to that point where you're just like, I don't know, man, this is pointless. You know, we've gone. Everyone can access the internet, but then now it's just become inaccessible to people. Although I realized, like, I was watching a live stream the other day with some world famous people, which, by the way, they're just rock climbers. They're world famous sponsored rock climbers who have Netflix specials and all that kind of stuff. and they were literally like, they're streaming, they're sending out a stream in like, I don't know, 120p, like sent out on a potato. You know, it was filmed on a potato. It was like potato camera, and I'm going like, okay, so whatever it is that I'm doing is just not interesting enough. Big D says, damn, it costs to fly right now. Just paid more for a round trip airfare from SeaTac to Sacramento than I did for the same Chicago and 4 days hotel a year and a half ago. Prices are way up, dude. Yeah. Yeah, prices are way up everywhere. I mean, gas is up, travel's up, food's up, rent's up, everything, you know. Somebody said earlier that we're headed to the housing depression, which is probably not off the mark all that much to some degree. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that we haven't built enough houses. You know, I've talked about this on a few streams before. So, you know. Yeah, I mean, I think I talked about it on Friday. I think the consensus is that Washington State, just the state where I live, is behind in like by about 250,000, give or take, housing units, basically. So the prices will continue to climb. You know, they will continue to climb until there's some kind of intervention, you know. Someone's ringing the doorbell? What is this? Oh, I can hear people going to get it. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody up there ringing the doorbell. Well, Vicky's got it. Yeah, so it's so yeah, I mean, a lot of things are up and a lot of things are happening as far as prices and stuff like that, but you know, what's one guy going to do? There's not much I can do about it. You know, especially, you know, I get on here and talk to people, and you know, it's like there's a lot of people that like nod their head like, yeah, and then there's a bunch of people that, you know, I recently got in this big argument because people really don't understand how tariffs work. A lot of parts of this country, there are a lot of people that just have no clue what the hell tariffs would have to do with their day-to-day interaction. And it was like super funny to see like how dug in people are when you try to explain to them like the countries that produce the products that you use have had tariffs on them for 4 or 5 years now and increased over that time period. And they were going, oh, this is Joe Biden's fault. And you go like, I don't think, what are you talking about? It's like, well, things were cheaper before Joe Biden came into office. And it's like, do you even have like a price sheet of like what has happened over the last 4 or 5 years? You know, yeah. But they just don't want to hear it, you know. And I don't have the motivation to sit here and argue with myself, other people's points. But like, it's extraordinarily frustrating just to see like how divisive everything has gotten. And just how much rhetoric is out there. So a part of what I've been working on is trying to work on battling back against that. And obviously it chews up some of my time working on those things. And I want to work on aquarium stuff, but then I realized that like, you know, laws are getting passed that are taking rights from people. And I realized that like, that's kind of more important than somebody figuring out how to grow their Anubias properly, right? And I go like, well, I got to get motivated on that, you know, like This is like a foundational property of being an American, and I've been an American my entire life. And I go, I got to get motivated and do something about this, as opposed to, telling people how to grow a plant, right? It seems trivial when you look at it that way. That you go like, oh, I got to tell people how to grow their plant. That's really, I got to focus on that today. Never mind all this other craziness, where they're trying to, they're essentially trying to take. They're trying to take away essentially like important parts of the educational system, and go like, how is Betsy DeVos continuing to get away with this, for instance, right? These like crazed billionaires that figure out a way to extract money at the cost of like not their own children, right? It's other people's children, and then turn around and point the finger and sit and trying to tell everybody else. They're sort of screaming at anyone else that opposes them that they're, some kind of predator or whatever, right? Which is just insane. And, I don't know. It's just, I kind of go like, look, there's these bigger problems that I got to deal with, instead of teaching somebody how to grow their plant, right? As says, priorities, as we say, and to realize that like the backlash that you have to deal with is that like, if like the retail side of everything falls apart, then you can't afford to live in your house anymore, right? So it's just, trying to deal with these things is a little bit weird. It's a little bit weird to interface, but I suppose that I'm just supposed to get on here and be like, your rhizome needs to be spreading in this way, and it needs to be not under the substrate for the millionth time, right? As Alyssa says, but there's always going to be a bigger injustice or a bigger tragedy to worry about. If you keep looking for the biggest thing, you'll end up spinning in circles instead of picking a direction. Yeah, I mean, I understand. I understand where that comes from. And I've noticed that with a lot of people, that they go like, well, that's happening in Georgia, like who cares? Well, that's happening in North Carolina. Who cares? That's happening in Wisconsin. Like, who cares? That's way far from here. So Rockhard Tank says, on the same lines, I would sometimes like to know how to grow my plants rather than be nonstop beaten down by politics. Agreed. 100%. Even last week I said, if somebody has a topic that they want me to make something about, send me an email. And the thing is that like, I guess I'll put it this way. Like, I would like to be not beaten down by politics also. I'm 42 years old. All through the 80s, when I grew up, there was mass censorship, poisoning of people with like toxic chemicals. Like, just go look up saccharin, right? Or aspartame and whatnot. All of the fat-free foods that were given to us because fat-free was supposedly good. Tons of sugar, all sorts of people, and they go like, why is there so much diabetes in the United States now, right? Like, come on. throughout the 90s, 2000s, the 2010s. I would like to be not beaten down by it. I would like to have not been regularly ostracized, or people be regularly ostracized from our society. It's very easy for us to go like, yeah, man, it's all good. When things are going good, it's like it's really easy to just be like, yeah, everything's fine. And I would love to, especially with somebody who has taken an interest in this channel like you have, Rock Hard Tanks, to invest a little bit into this channel. I would like to hear from you guys. Like, I literally right now have the phone line open. Like, I'm sitting in the green room on Discord right now where somebody could call in. You know, like, so I'm not sure, like, what it is that people, specifically want me to do when it's like, hey, I don't want you to do that thing. It's like, okay, what thing do you want me to do? I don't know. Okay. Then I'm going to talk about things that are on my head, right? Like, Chris Salazar's here. So, hey, everyone, went through some occupational changes. So I've been real busy these past couple weeks. Miss being here. Well, it's good to see you, Chris. I very much appreciate you. So, like, if I don't get input, there's not really, then the direction just ends up being like, well, I don't know. I guess wait for a month or two before I put out a video, and then I guess I could just make not videos for a couple months and then make something else. I mean, that's kind of the option, right? Is just like go away for 6 months, 5 months, 4 months, 2 months at a time, and then come back and make some stuff. When the reality is that, like, it's like people become not interested, right? Lorcan Tom Wing says, Joel, what are your most rare and aquatic plant species? I don't know. I have lots of plants. Alyssa's going to get a lot of plants here very soon. Probably on Friday would be my guess. That's the schedule right now. We'll see. But Alyssa's going to get a lot of plants, and I'll probably have to write them down then. And then I would have like a better list for you, I guess. Yeah. It would be like, I'd probably have like a better list on Friday, I think. I mean, off the top of my head, I probably have, 10 different kinds of Anubias. Let's see. God, I mean, I don't know. It's just difficult for, honestly, it's difficult for me to just like pop it out of my head. Let me start thinking here. I have, probably 3 or 4 different kinds of Bulbitis. Lots of different types of Anubias. I have a bunch of, Bucophialandra. I have probably like 30 different kinds of Cryptocorini. I probably have, I don't know. I mean, the list is, it's long, and I don't know if I have all that much to list out for you off the top of my head, honestly. I heard Corey talk about if nutrient imbalanced, certain nutrients impossible to be used by the plants, even if present in water. That's what I understood from it anyhow, which was at Corvus. Don't know if you're the person to ask, but what base nutrients are required by plants in order for plant to utilize other micronutrients? So the easy way to look that up, and let me look it up while is to actually just look at the exchange between macro and micronutrients, and I think there's a Sorry, I have a piece of paper over here ruining my mouse. The easiest thing that you could look up is this list right here. And will this come up? No? Okay. Nitrogen is always going to be number 1. Phosphorus, potassium are your macronutrients, and then it goes into micronutrients, which are calcium, magnesium, sulfur. Let me see if I can actually get this list out here. Yeah, AGG Labs. This is a decent website. So, calcium, magnesium, and sulfur are the secondary macronutrients. But as you go through those, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium is your NPK. That's your NPK dosing. That's where you're really going to want to focus on your levels, right? That's going to be, if you think of it this way, this is like proteins, fats, and sugars, right? This is like the hamburguesa, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you've got meat, bread, and the fat. Where's the fat come from? A cheese. I don't know, right? That's gonna be like really where you're starting to focus on your main dosing. Like this is gonna be like the main spot where you want to focus your macronutrients. Then you're gonna step into the secondary ones, which is magnesium, sulfur, and calcium. Like sulfur is actually like pretty easy to not have to worry about. Magnesium, right, is the that's the main functional connecting for chlorophyll. And then calcium, obviously, is calcium. You should have like an understanding of what calcium does if you're an adult. Like you should know by now. And then as you get into the micronutrients, like micronutrients are going to be like the easy place to be targeting because like all of the micronutrients are all just sort of going to be really easy. I'm just going to put it this way. They're really easy to dose because if you have a complex micronutrient, you're just basically going to be adding that, right? You're not going to be, oh, I need to up this, I need to down this, I need to move this, I need to move that. Because we're talking about things like molybdenum, nickel, copper, zinc, manganese, boron, iron, right? Like chlorine. These things are all not in huge demand, right? They're not in like this insane huge demand. It's and if I remember the ratio, it's like 10,000 to 10. So it's pretty easy to figure that out. It's like 1,000 to 1, right? Is that the reality is that the micronutrients are going to be really easy because just pick whatever basic blend of micronutrients, right? Now, when you look at the macros, this is where you could really sit around. You could even move over to dry fertilizers if you want, and you can kind of change your levels. You can really kind of be testing on what's going on, seeing what the plants are doing. Like, oh, crap, all my plants started turning yellow, right? Like, all my leaves started yellowing. Okay. So you could really start doing that, but one of the things I always try to advise people is like figure out what your tap water is. That is what you need to be focusing on. What is the water that you're going to do water changes with? Okay? I don't even think the average American or European or anything like that really needs to worry about micronutrients, honestly. I think if we're all being real honest with each other, you probably don't need to worry about micronutrients. Depending on where you are, you might have super hard water and might not, and might only have to dose macronutrients like once every month or something to bridge a gap between your water change water and how much your plants are uptaking out of it, right? So, you know, if you don't know what your tap water is, who cares? Like, no one cares about what you're going to dose to your tank because you don't even know what you're dosing into your tank with the water change. And in which I've talked to people that are like, I don't want to do any water changes. Like, okay, that's a different methodology. I literally have a tank right now I haven't done a water change in a year, right? Does it look great? No. Are the fish happy? Yes. Is it healthy? Yes. Does it look great? Not really. It's possible to run a tank without doing water changes. It's fine. Is it going to be ready to take pictures and post it on Instagram? No. Is it going to be ready to take pictures and try and sell one of those pictures to a magazine? No. It's going to be healthy for the fish, shrimp, snails, all those things. Sure. Yes. Yeah, you can easily do that. Is it going to be aesthetically pleasing? No. It's probably not, which is one of the weird things to start to balance out if you're into this hobby for breeding fish, if you're into this hobby for growing plants, if you're into this hobby for growing plants and aquascaping, right? There's a lot of the things that you're going to have to like engage with, right? Rocker Tanks, I really like to see a controlled collab with aquarium plants. Several people get the same plant, but we each grow them in our own region under the same conditions and see what happens. Actually, I understand where you're coming from, but if you're trying to grow plants in different regions under the same conditions, then it shouldn't matter. Right? If your water quality is the same, if you use all the same additives, all the same temperature, blah, 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 all that stuff, the results should be the same. So while it is helpful to gather some of that information, if the setup is the same, the plant should perform the same. It should be more or less the exact same thing, which is why I would say personally, that wouldn't be a helpful test to me. A helpful test to me includes doing side-by-side testing under different parameters to see how well something's going to perform, to validate or negate previous statements from whatever hypothesis you've come up with, right? Perfect example. And here's a perfect real-world example is that you can look up crop rotation theory. I gotta find it. This is gonna take a second. Crop rotation theory. Okay. Crop rotations from the Rundle Institute, and I forget what institute did this project initially. But if you want to look up in the United States history, you can look up the Oklahoma Dust Bowl, which I was actually looking this up for a different project I was collaborating on just the other day. Because look, there we have the search history, and I don't want to get the date wrong here. The start date was 1930 for the Oklahoma Dust Bowl, which covered a big part of Texas, a big part of Kansas, a big part of Colorado, and a big part of New Mexico, equaling easily the landmass of a state in the United States, where they completely depleted the topsoil to the point where nothing would grow in the ground anymore. And they call it the Dust Bowl because due to there being nothing in the ground and nothing able to grow in the ground, dust storms started happening all the time. The whole area was basically in the worst depression you could really imagine, and this happened in the United States less than 100 years ago. So crop rotation is something that came from trying to figure out what happened during the Dust Bowl, right? And a lot of people had different theories about it. If you want to look at the specific interaction of this crop rotational theory, there's a simple website that you can you could go look at this article and kind of kick off your interest. But this is the reason I bring up this as an example is someone had a hypothesis that they needed that it was nitrogen depletion in the soil, and they go like, well, we need to add more nitrogen to the soil, blah blah blah, and some people said like, hey, we could do that without just pulling it out of the atmosphere and just throwing it down as fertilizer, right? And eventually, crop rotation now has just become an established thing that you do in farming, right? Because it is more cost effective, but it's also better for the earth, and you're not going to end up with an Oklahoma Dust Bowl again, right? And so the reason that I say that is like I would be interested in collaborative, plant growing projects and stuff like that for sure. If I could trust somebody to actually do what it is that was the hypothesis, right? Because someone is going to be on the losing end, right? Is that if you go, if you go into the project and say, well, these are all the conditions that we think are negative, right? From the hypothesis standpoint, all of these outcomes should be poor, right? Which means a whole bunch of people would specifically have to set up their tanks for a poor outcome, right? Whereas, like, one of the things that I would like to have at some point in time is some type of lab setting that we could actually work in. But also, like, here's the problem. Like, who wants to pay for a lab? Who wants to pay to set that up? Who wants to do all that stuff? I mean, I know that I'm literally going to spend probably 10 grand remodeling, plumbing, electric, water, all that kind of stuff, over the time period of remodeling the house that I'm moving into to be a proper functional studio / fish room and stuff like that. Obviously, I'm going to be doing all the work, blah, blah, blah. So that is going to eat up a lot of my time. And I definitely am. What I'm considering to do is start to run sort of a live stream sort of setup, where I'll be able to like live stream working on those projects. But also at the same time, like it becomes incredibly intrusive to be working on projects and also trying to entertain people. So then it's like, well, do I film a time lapse? Because a time-lapse video doesn't really portray the work. What it does is it just extraordinarily speeds up the work, so that somebody could watch a 5-second video and go like, wow, look at all that stuff that got done. It must have taken an hour, right? So, trying to sort out what it is that's going to come and where that funding is going to come from to like do those projects. Like ultimately, I would like to be doing plant projects and testing theories and stuff with different fertilizers and whatnot on a regular basis. That's what I would ultimately like to be doing. But how do we how do we fund doing that, right? Like I literally scheduled today's live stream at 11:15 because I had an hour and a half right now before I have to go load I have to go load up a trailer onto my truck and then drive around for the next 5 or 6 hours to offload a trailer full of stuff, so that I can move. And then 5 or 6 hours has gone by and it'll be like dinner time. And then I got to eat dinner and then work on some stuff. There's just only a certain amount of time in the day. And some people would say, hey, why didn't you guys hire movers? And I go, well, because we tried to buy the previous house and we lost out on basically Vicky and I's combined savings of $25,000 got lost on an earnest money guarantee that we ultimately should not have had on that situation. It was an accident. I appreciate that it was an accident. There went $25,000, which took 5 years to save. And so it's like, there are points in time where And I kind of bring up this sort of stuff where I go, like, we do live in a capitalist society. We live in a capitalist society where somebody could legally take um, advantage of a situation, and we lose $25,000. There's literally no recourse, and it's just sad, right? Because it's just a bummer, right? So yeah, I mean, so today I have to load up more stuff, pack up more things, put them in a trailer, drive up, because instead of it costing, however much money to pay movers, it's going to cost me gas and time. So I'm going to have to do it. Literally having to like ask favors from people to load things out into their garage, right? Instead of like just renting a storage unit, because there goes another however many hundreds of dollars for a storage unit, probably $1,000 realistically these days. They figure out how to get you with every fee that you've ever seen, so that you don't have to throw your stuff in the garbage or whatever. And then you have to sit there and do a cost breakdown on whether or not you think that your stuff is valuable enough to be in a storage unit. I don't know, whatever. Yeah. If only time machines were real. Yeah, it's true, man. If only time machines were real, I would be into that for sure. Yeah. Rockhard Tank says someone could illegally go burn their house down as well. Yeah, I mean that's directly committing a crime though, and I don't endorse that and don't think that that's a good idea at all. So S says, yeah, I don't understand why some realtors take money from you on bids. So the way that it works out is that the realtors don't get that money, right? The seller gets the earnest money if the contract falls through. It's the seller. It's not the realtor. So, yeah. Brickley Bell says, "Hey, lurking while I assemble a queen-size bed frame." That is an interesting project to be working on today, I guess. But I'll become a member today. There goes the thing. The sellout timer went off. So it's supposed to tell people to do that, But I think ultimately, like, to get back onto what the topic is today is like, it's a very roundabout way to sort of like, this episode is sort of a roundabout way to express like what it is, where my thought process is, and like where my motivation is, like moving forward. So it's a very weird. I don't know. To me, honestly, it's like a very weird position to be in right now. And I do recall like somebody a while ago was saying that like, instead of doing a live stream, like, why don't you just work on editing something? And to be honest with you, like, I tried doing that. I have no idea how to edit a thing for like a half an hour or an hour and then go away and come back to it like 2 or 3 days later. I just, in that time frame, like, I can't get back into editing. It's just, I don't know, man. It's a clear deficiency that I have of like, I got to get into the editing mindset and then like get into a rhythm and then like, figure out all of the things that I'm doing. It just takes me time to get into it, and I would rather just come on and try to interface and talk with you guys a bit, than struggle for an hour and then kind of get started on a thing and then get pulled away and not be able to work on it anymore. So, yeah, I don't know. Okay. Well, we're kind of at a point now where I'm winding down. I'm winding down because I got to go drive forever. I finished loading the trailer. We did get 2 super chats today. I was thinking about doing one of those. what do you call it? The member marathon streams, whatever those are called. It's like, as long as somebody's just becoming a member or whatever, you have that like that time clock to try and like do that. I don't know. But then I realized like I'd probably do about a 5-minute live stream. No one would become a member and then it would end. But we did get 2 super chats today. One from the Fish Tank Barn, from Mike. Thank you very much. And then an $11.03 super chat from Skog Shrimp and Stuff saying coffee for the drive. Very much appreciate it, guys. Like, I really do. So, I don't know. I've rambled on for a long time now, and I appreciate you guys coming out and chatting with me a little bit. And I got some documents, apparently, I've got to sign. So, that's going to be it for today, but see you later.